Hey, I'm Marty McDonald, and you've tuned in into the Audacity of Ambitious Women. This podcast is for all women who are ready to jump boldly into their next stage of life. Whether it's business or personal, it's time to be audacious. So let's get started. We've got a wild card guest on today's episode. The infamous Jay Bolin is joining us on the episode of the Audacity of Ambitious Women. Jay is here because he has styled some of the most ambitious and audacious women many of us have ever heard of. He has such a unique behind-the-scenes look at what it takes for women to snatch their waist, first of all, and step into her full confidence and define her own image on some of the most iconic red carpet events around the world. Today's episode is for you ladies. It is for the ladies who's ready to step into their full self and own their style and essence when you walk into any room. As an audacious celebrity stylist, Jay Bolin has extensive experience in the fashion industry. He brings a unique perspective that empowers women, first of all, in so many ways. Empowers them to embrace and express their individuality through clothing. Jay has not only worked with some of the most iconic celebrities, but has also consistently advocated for inclusivity and body positivity in fashion. His passion for helping individuals feel confident and comfortable in their own skin makes him an inspirational figure for women looking to navigate the world of style. So, without further ado, I am so excited to have you, Jay Bolin.
That introduction, my God.
No, that's
so
who
good.
you are, though. And when I thought about like the inclusivity of what you're doing in fashion, from full figure women to women who are being underrepresented from disabilities that they have, you are doing it. That is something that history books will write about of who you are and what you're doing.
I have like chills going through my arm right now.
No, seriously. So thank you for being with us.
I'm so excited to be here. When Marty, when you reach out, it's like you have to come and have a seat with you.
Oh my goodness.
Because I what I love about you is that you really empower women around the world, and it's not necessarily from just an outward appearance. Like there's something internal that I think that you're doing for women across the world, and it is mind-blowing. So I was like, I have to come and take a seat with you right now to have a conversation, and hopefully this doesn't come out to be a moment where I'm picking your brain.
Oh my goodness. Listen, I'm here to lean in and learn so much. I want to first start, like, who was Jay when he first started? Like, what was your inspiration? How did you get started styling?
Girl, I got started on MySpace.
MySpace. I remember
if I could have my
MySpace.
top 10 friends, I would still have my top 10 friends. I had my background was nice and right now we call it curated. But back then it was like a fancy background. And I remember seeing someone on MySpace that had a really cool page, and it was a lot of like bust forms, like mannequins in the background. I was like, well, what the heck is this? This seems a little interesting. And so she had on her page that she was a fashion stylist. And I was thinking, what's a fashion stylist?
Wow.
And so I kind of like dug a little deeper into it. And after I kept digging into it, I said, I'm going to call myself a fashion stylist. And I went to ask.com at the time.
Yes.
You remember that? Like that was like back in the day.
Yes.
There was no Google me, baby. That was like ask.com. And so I went to ask.com and I was like, well, what is it? Do I have to be certified? Do I have to have like paperwork for it? I have to go to school for it? What do I have to do for it?
Wow.
And so it did give all these different things. And I remember Marty calling people online at the time that you could go through and find people's numbers. And I would call them and say, like, how do you get started? How did you get started? And the phones were like, click, click, click. Like, how do you call somebody and ask them for their recipe? And so,
seriously.
It was very crazy of me, but it was extremely fearless of me at that time. And so I ended up labeling myself as a fashion stylist. And I went from labeling myself as a fashion stylist to calling myself a celebrity stylist. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait on anybody to call me what I am. I'm gonna claim it for myself.
You better speak the vision, make it plain.
I call myself a celebrity stylist, and then celebrities started to call.
Wow. And so where were you at? Like, where were you at when this was happening? And what were you doing before? Like,
oh my God, I was working at the time. Okay, so there's a little bit of a timeline here. So I went to school for engineering. I graduated from Alcorn State University, left there, went to start working for Nissan plant.
Where were you in Tennessee?
Can you imagine? No, in Canton, Mississippi.
Oh my God.
I'm from Mississippi. I'm a Mississippi boy. So I'm a country boy.
Yes.
And so being in Canton, Mississippi, I was literally working on the line, and I had like my whole like little Dickie suit on with like Bolin written on my chest, and I was like, yo, like I'm gonna make good money here, and it's gonna be great benefits. And my parents taught me, get in there. You got a good job. You got some good money coming your way, son. And I got in there, and I felt myself like getting sick. I was working a night shift. I felt myself getting sick, getting not necessarily just like sick and tired of being there, but I was sick within the body. And so I was like, you know what? I have to do something that's gonna like shift and change for me. Well, what ended up happening is that people that were around me that were working on the line with me as I was working on the line nightly, they end up saying, Jay, I see something else for you.
Wow.
This ain't it, bro.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they were saying. This ain't it, bro. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, what the heck are you talking about? And it ended up shifting. I went outside to my car one night, and you know how like you're like, you know there's something else for you. You don't really know what it is. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I was like burning. Something was burning on the inside of me. And I was sitting in my car, and I was listening to, on my lunch break, I was sitting in my car, and I listened to a song by Smokey Norfolk called I Need You Now. And when I heard that song come on, I bawled in tears. Like I was like in my car crying and didn't even know why I was crying. But I was like, God, I need you right now. I hear people telling me that I'm capable of doing something else and I don't belong in this environment. But my parents are cheering me on. They pay for a great education. Where do I go from here? Am I misusing what they've invested into me and worked so hard to bust their butt off for me to go to school for? Like, what am I going to do? I'm a country boy, and here I am talking about one day I just may be a fashion stylist.
Wow.
What? In Mississippi?
Yes.
And so I ended up labeling myself. I went to school, went through all those different transitions. So I went from there to working at Tougaloo College. And at Tougaloo College was it was like heaven to me because the people that were there saw something in me as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, everywhere I go, people are continually seeing something in me. I'm like, what the heck? I'm not seeing what they're seeing.
Yeah.
I'm feeling what they're feeling, but I'm not seeing what they're seeing.
Yep.
So it's like I had that burn on the inside of me, and they said, you know what? They're like, Mr. B, we love the way you dress, man. I worked in financial aid, so I was the one giving the refund checks. So it was like,
I was coming to see you.
I was coming to see me, and it was like, Mr. B, like, listen, man, we absolutely love the way you dress. Can you please, please, please start a fashion team here?
Wow.
Marty, I was rejected from the fashion team at Alcorn State University for 4 years back to back. So I was thinking, yeah, that's not happening here because I got rejected 4 years, which was definitely a notice to me that you don't belong in doing this.
Yeah.
And so they kept saying, you need to do it. And I ended up doing it for fun. And as soon as I started doing it, I had my VIP section for $2. And I had my general admission coming in, and like literally we have 500 people at minimum.
Wow.
Coming to the shows, and that's literally where things started for me.
That is, first of all, you cannot despise, number one, small beginnings.
Yeah.
But then you also cannot despise when you're in a space and a place that does not feel like it's for you to exit so you can go live what God has for you. And I think that feeling was that, right? Like I can totally relate to being in environments where I was like, I don't belong here. Or sometimes things not happening when you're in those environments of elevation.
Yeah.
Because God doesn't want you to feel the elevation in that environment. He wants you to feel it when you're walking in your purpose, right?
Oh my God. And then, you said something about not despising like the small moments, but what about not despising the hurtful moments? Like, I was hurt.
Yeah.
I was hurt because I had to go and sit at on my Sunday lunches and dinners with family, and everybody's talking career, and I'm talking about one that I'm possibly gonna have. You know what I mean? Like I knew that like I want this, and I had enough faith to know it. But those that are around me looking at me like, "You want to do what? You're in
Yeah.
Mississippi. You talking about being a stylist? Who's a stylist in Mississippi? What like where they do that at?"
And like, how did you navigate that? Like, how did you navigate going from doing something that they wanted you to do, right? But then going and walking and operating in what you wanted for yourself and the vision that you had for yourself.
I did it hurting.
Mm.
I hurt for years. I hurt for years because I literally didn't know one if what it was gonna be like, and then I wasn't just getting the looks from friends and close loved ones that were around me. I was getting no's at the same time from people that were in the industry that were saying, "You're in Mississippi. You're a country boy. You don't have access to clothes. You don't like where are you gonna get access to clothes or what showrooms do you have access to?" And I'm thinking, what's a showroom? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
these are things that I'm just getting in the market, so I don't know any of these things
Yeah.
at all. So I had to do it hurting. I did it hurting for years of breaking those walls down of having to. I'm just now starting to feel like I belong.
Oh yeah, I know what that
Yeah.
feels like.
Just now starting to feel like sir, you belong. And it wasn't. And I think what it really is that God is really teaching us is that you don't belong because man said you belong.
Yes.
Like once you learn that it's something that God gave you,
Yes.
and that no man. Because if I had to believe that man gave it to me,
Yep.
then
Then that's
I
all
would
you
be on
chase
this
after.
crazy roller coaster of going in and going out, thinking that man gave it to me. And in reality, they didn't. God gave it to me.
Yep. That's so powerful. Tell me how you go from you have this idea, you know what you want to do, you're in Mississippi, and
Yeah.
then you say, "Hey, I'm about to put it all on the line and completely bet on myself and move to Dallas, Texas."
Oh my God.
Like tell me what happened and then what did that feel like?
That was a little bit of betting on myself before I actually moved to Dallas, Texas. So I literally, like I said, I called myself a celebrity stylist, and knowing doggone well I had never styled a celebrity, but I was like, I'm styling a radio host who is a little known. And I guess to be famous, you can be called a celebrity. And so I was like, I'm just going to ride out and just do it. Well, Marty, it was pretty tough because, I mean, who am I styling in Mississippi? Nobody's flying me out. You know what I mean? So what I did was I created something called Denim Magazine. And I created something called Denim Magazine, and that was the only way that I would have celebrities to come to me.
Wow.
So I found myself trying to make a connection. Like, how in the world am I gonna like connect with celebrities across the world being in Mississippi? And that was my way of drawing people in and trying to get some national exposure or attention because I wasn't getting it as a stylist. So I had to kind of merge into something else that was gonna get their attention, which just so happened to be Denim Magazine, where I wasn't making $1, I wasn't making a dime, but yet I'm getting the eyes of all these different nationally known magazine fashion editors that are reaching out saying, "Who the heck are you? How are your covers looking so good? And how are you getting all this talent?"
Wow.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what happened. So it went from one person that really believed in me that flew into Mississippi that I reached out to her via Twitter.
Yep.
And that was Melinda Williams, Bird from Soul Food.
Yes.
Melinda flew into Mississippi. And I'm gonna tell you how the enemy stay busy too, because just I thought I was like, okay, I'm popping now. I got Melinda flying into Mississippi to me, and that same night after we got done with this fabulous photo shoot that I just knew was gonna change my entire career, the photographer lost the memory card.
Shut up.
I died. I was at home in tears, like, what am I gonna do? This is gonna be a waste of time. I'm gonna look like a crazy man here. And I remember maybe like 2 weeks later, he ended up finding the chip in the card, and we were like, okay, cool, we're back in business now. And so, but she was willing to come back to Dallas, but she was like, you guys are so integral and you're so nice and so impactful that I'm gonna refer you to a friend. And so she ended up referring me to Nicole Laurie Parker.
Wow.
Nicole Laurie Parker ended up referring me to Boris Kojo. And then from Boris Kojo, it went to Cynthia Bailey. Cynthia Bailey ended up telling Nene Leakes. Nene Leakes ended up, I think it was either Cynthia or Nene that either or one of them, somebody reached out to Vivica. And went from Vivica A. Fox to Christina Milian, from Christina Milian to Wendy Raquel. Like, the list just kept going on, and it was just through Dinner Magazine. And it wasn't necessarily just by what I was doing, but it was the word of mouth from person to person to person to person. And it was putting me and my whole team on. That was the moment that we, like, literally was risking it all because we were paying for these photo shoots ourselves.
Yes. And where were you getting money from? Like,
girl, we really didn't have it. We were really trying to make it work. Funny story is I went to Hollywood to do Wendy Raquel's photo shoot, and I remember a publicist coming on set. We had Wendy Raquel lined up, Christina Milian, and also Niecy Nash in the exact same day. And so as we had all these people, and Jay Ellis. So all these people lined up. We were like, we're going to kill this. We're going to LA. We're going to make use of it. And we had like everybody lined up hour by hour by hour by hour. We get inside, and I'm like, okay, cool, guys. We're going to lay it out real nice. I know what my mom has done for people. When they come to the house, you buy them, like, really nice stuff, right? Like, you get, like, the Danishes, and you get your donuts and all this kind of stuff or whatever. I forgot I was in Hollywood. Nobody's eating carbs.
Nobody eats that.
Okay, yes. So the publicist walked in, y'all, and the publicist walked in. She was like, darling, who are these carbs for? I was like, well, I got these for the talent today, so I hope that you guys enjoy them. I'm like, I'm such a big geek and so happy that I'm saying this to her in the most happiest way, and she's like, how dare you bring my clients carbs? And I'm thinking, goodness. I looked at my friends that were on my team, and I was thinking, oh my God, we just screwed up. We just screwed up. And so it went from that to them saying, Jay, we love what you do. We love who you are. Wendy Raquel came in and she said, don't you ever let anybody make you feel less than. She's like, that was very nice of you, but I'm going to eat my seaweed chips right now. And I was thinking, what the heck is a seaweed chip? I'm from Mississippi. Like, we don't do no seaweed chips.
Right.
So she was eating her seaweed chips and she was encouraging. And then Niecy Nash and her mom, I'll never forget this. There was a publicist that was on set that was representing another talent. That lady walked in and she did not necessarily like the way, she didn't like the studio because we didn't really have enough money to rent a big crazy studio, right? She didn't necessarily like the studio and she didn't like the amount of clothes that we brought for her client. But she saw Niecy Nash have like a plethora of shoes and clothes, and she was starting to compare things. And as she was comparing, I could see her eyes like wandering around the room, and I'm thinking, this is about to go down. I can feel it. So I hear her on the phone outside, and she's like talking to a PR team. She's like, this guy is horrible. Don't ever let him work with anybody again. The studio is horrible. This is not together, and that's not together. And I'm thinking, my career is over. My career is over. I'm working with zero here. I'm working with hardly nothing, but booking this big talent. So having the resources, but not having the resources to take care of those resources. Right. And so this lady ended up looking me in my face and she said, do you know who I represent? And she started naming names, and those names were hitting me in the stomach left and right. Like, my career is literally over. These are like some of the leading celebrities in the marketplace. And she said, you'll never work with them. Wow. And I'll make sure of that. And Niecy Nash's mother overheard that conversation. She saw me, and she saw the look on my face, and she said, you come here, young man. And she said, as long as you live, she said, you are a king. And she said, you don't have to worry about nobody in Hollywood taking nothing that the good Lord has for you. Yes. And she said, you keep striving, doing what you're doing. She said, you see my baby over there? She's happy, and she looks amazing. And that's because of you. Keep doing what you do.
And that's all you needed. And
that's all I needed with my little coins that I flew over, and we probably all were 4 to a room at the time. You know what I mean? Staying in whatever kind of hotel to make it happen. So when you say, what did you have in order to make that happen? Where the money come from? I ain't have no money. Yes. So the money I had was called gas money. It was called going without lights. It was called, hey, babe, do you mind sacrificing this week so that we can kind of do this week? That's where that money
I know that story so well. Well, you know, you've had such incredible successes out loud and I'm sure behind the scenes, right? But it's the success that people see out loud that draws them in, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows the behind the scenes story. Nobody knows
Yeah.
the sacrifices. And as a leader, and you are a leader, you never get to tell your part of the story, not your real
Yeah.
story,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
You
know?
never do.
And but you recently shared something on Instagram that it really struck me. And this is why I had reached out to you. You had posted that last year was one of your hardest years in business. And I thought it was so
Hmm.
vulnerable and brave of you to say it out loud, because no one would ever believe that because of where you are, right? And so many people just see the surface. They don't see it is a grind being an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah.
And every day you talking yourself off of a cliff of what you're supposed to do, of what God has ordained for you. So can you tell me how you've been able to navigate going from ups and downs and highs and lows, and why and what made you share that to your audience?
I have tried my best to be as transparent as possible from the good, the bad, and the ugly. One is because it's therapeutic.
Yes.
And I've always felt that whenever I hide it, I'm always trying to, it takes a lot to try to hide.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if I could just be 100, it'll help somebody else out.
Yep.
So, and it's also helping me out.
Yep.
So the transparency comes from a hurtful place. Like even being able to say it, like to say last year was like one of the most horrific years. That takes a lot
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not 100% healed from
Yeah,
what
for
took
sure.
place on last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I came into Dallas, Texas, as you were saying a second ago, being from Mississippi. I came into Dallas thinking that, man, there's going to be some growth here. It just didn't happen with growth, but it grew tremendously. And it grew tremendously with me being an immature leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how am I supposed to lead people and manage clients and manage finances
Yes.
and manage taxes and manage being a father and manage being a friend? All this management
Mm-hmm.
and never had a managing position.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
yeah.
all happening at one time.
Yeah.
So while all this is happening, everything started to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
And it was falling apart because of things that were happening from other people, but it was also happening from me as well. Like
Yeah.
there's responsibility on all ends.
Yeah.
And it was because of the immaturity. And I'm like, okay, God, now listen, now I like to learn, but I don't want to learn it all at
Yes.
one time.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was learning. I felt like everybody around me was learning. And I'm like, God, did you put us all here to learn at one time together?
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody else had any kind of, I'm going to say, maturity to come to the table and know how to rock things out.
Mm-hmm.
God's like, no, all y'all immature, and you won't you won't learn until I take it away. And I separate. And that's what he did. And that was so hard for me to separate and to divide myself and to set healthy boundaries with myself. And when you set healthy boundaries with yourself, there's going to be separation. And that is the hardest thing because it's hurtful because I don't like to set boundaries for myself sometimes. I love being over loving. I love like giving an abundance of joy and love and peace and finances. I love giving all that stuff away until the end.
Too.
Until the end of the year when your CPA comes back around and be like, now wait, you did what?
Yep.
Do you see how you did that? And you see where you are right now because of that? And one side of me battles that because one side of me is like, but God got me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm giving, and this is how I got here. I'm an abundant giver to people, whether it's like joy, conversation, or whatever. And then there's that side of me that's that entrepreneurial side that's like, you know, you have to be a leader, and being a leader, you have to separate yourself. You have to create healthy boundaries, and no, you just can't like leave stuff on the. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm a good sweeper under the rugger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh no, I don't want controversy. We're not gonna have that. And God's like, face it and face it all, and everything else will become healthy, not just for you, but for everyone. And I'm noticing that everyone that is around me and that was around me is creating something that's extremely healthy for themselves. Yeah. It would have never happened if we had just held on to what wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
You know, and what we think is healthy in our career is being busy. And it wasn't, and us being busy wasn't healthy because we weren't growing. We were just going. We were maintaining an unhealthy environment.
Yep.
And we felt like because we were busy and because it was looking good in front of the world that it was success.
Yep.
And it wasn't. True success will happen when everybody gets a chance to walk away in happiness. Everybody's in joy and in peace of what they're doing. Everybody's able to manage their finances in a decent way. If you don't have it all together and being able to manage your clients great and being able to show up to podcasts on time, all those things are what matter. And I'm so grateful now. But being in that period and being in that season, it's not easy. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. The hardest thing I've ever had to do was like literally manage people.
Oh God, yes.
I didn't know it. I've always longed for a team because when I saw team, I thought, team?
Yes.
Oh, this changes everything. And it did. Having team members will change a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that it won't change.
Yep, because you have to hold people accountable. You have to hold people accountable. And that is so hard for so many people to do. Yes,
it's
absolutely.
Hard. It's hard. It's also hard when you are a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And I was a people pleaser, and I didn't know it, Marty. I didn't know that I was a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I thought that it was just a little bit of joy, a little bit of love that I had that I wanted to give to people. But I realized I had to like dig deep into like some deeper roots. Like, okay, you were longing for this even in high school. Mm-hmm. You were trying to please people to become homecoming king, and when you didn't get it, you had to people please even more for the next year so that you could get it.
Yeah.
Or when you graduate the last of your class because you have the lowest GPA, and then you're trying to please the people that are around you so that you can be seen to look a lot better. And then you get to college and realize, you know what? I'm gonna have to be in remedial courses because my ACT scores weren't the best. And so now I'm walking in the room and I'm trying to please everybody so that everybody can see me in a better way than what I look like on paper.
Yeah.
Because on paper, I look crappy.
Yeah.
So I had to show up a different way. And I'm thinking, is this people pleasing or am I just showing up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, boy, you was people pleasing, and you have to learn the difference between people pleasing and being able to just show up as your authentic self and own what you have, what you don't have, and who you're not and who you are.
I love that that season happened for you.
Yeah.
But specifically, I love it because of who you are always around, right? So like you're at the forefront of styling some of the most ambitious women. I mean, Sarah Jakes Roberts.
Yeah, my girl.
I mean, like she looks amazing. I mean, and she's like walking into what her season is and what God has for her is so incredible. I mean, and the list can go on and on and on and on. And I think that for you specifically, like, can you share what makes you a styling expert to ambitious women? Because like when you were talking about things that God's working on you with you on, but he also has you in these circles and these spaces of what you did not feel like you got on paper. You're getting a classroom setting when you're around and in the presence of these women as well.
I love that you said that. There's a client name that I have to say out loud. Her name is Tina Lifford.
Yes.
Y'all may know her as Aunt Vi from Queen Sugar.
Yes.
But let me tell you something. She's an incredible soul. Being in the room with her made me a more confident person. It made me dig a lot deeper. I would walk in a room to her and I would say, oh my God, as a stylist, we say these things. Like, it's a part of us. You look amazing and you look so fabulous. And first thing she said was, cut it. She was like, I don't need that. I don't need you to tell me that I'm beautiful. I know that I'm beautiful. I don't need you to I don't need all the extra hype. I don't need that. And I was thinking, who are you and who sent you? Like, what do you mean that you're going to turn down my compliments? And so we ended up building a more vivacious relationship throughout the years because I was able to listen. And I had always vowed that I would always keep my clients, I would always keep a wall up I was like, I'm never going to be friends with a client because I never want them to ever feel like when it's time to get paid that we,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't want
Yep.
anything to happen there, no emotions, no feelings or whatever. And Tina was one of the ones who broke that wall down. And she became a friend. And then she reminded me, she said, sir, you work so hard. She said, you work a lot. And I was thinking, this is so good. My friend is recognizing that I work so hard.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about, where's this going? And then she hit me in the stomach with, make sure that you're not working out of fear.
Wow.
Said, what do you mean? I'm standing in the middle of a store with a shoe in my hand. I'm like, what do you mean? And she was like, you work so hard, make sure that you're not working out of fear. And I was like, well, tell me more. She was like, you have to be an example to your children. You have to be an example for yourself and for the other people that are around you. Just because you're busy doesn't mean that you're thriving. And she said, I want you to thrive. And she said, I want you to know whose hands you're in. She said, you talk about God a lot. She said, I hear you talk about him all the time. I see you talk about him on social media. I'm around you, so I know that you love God. She said, but if you really believe the God that you serve, you don't always have to show up. All you have to do is be the authentic person that God called you to be and work at a pace, and God will work everything else out.
Ooh, that right there is a word.
It was a word for me. It was a word for me, and it was also a little bit of a checkmate because I was like, I'm booking like everything back to back to back to back. That's what I was getting. Like, it was stuff coming in. I'm thinking, oh, it's on and popping, baby. It's 2023. Let's go. I'm coming out of this crazy whirlwind. It's time to move forward. And she's like, yeah, you're busy, but you're working out of fear right now. And I don't want that for you. And I was thinking, okay, thank you. I had to call her back and say, thank you so much for checking me on that to make sure that I'm not working out of fear. Now, those are the kind of things that I'm learning when I'm in the rooms with these ambitious ladies who are not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
Who are busting doors down.
Yes.
And who are holding their friends accountable and holding their team accountable to showing up and being authentic, not showing up to show up. Like, there's a difference. Like, you show up, like, I'm going to show up, I'm going to room, and I'm going to slay everybody. Like, no, that's not authentic. That's going in with a mission to take somebody else's head off so that you can shine. Mm-hmm. But to show up authentic, you're going in and you're hopeful that everybody shows up slaying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a difference.
I think that if I just had to give a synopsis to your life from my viewpoint, it very much so is God has you in these spaces and places and around these people, right? And you're doing a school of life. They're getting a confidence from you. It is a two-way street. You're delivering something to them that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're delivering everything that God needs for you also. And I think that if that's because you're operating in true purpose. Now, is it hard? Yes.
Oh, yes.
Is it easy? No. But you're doing it. And I just think that that's so amazing that no matter how hard it's been, you've kept on your journey. And I love that Tina said that to you. I love that we're going to be able to share this with somebody who's listening.
Yeah.
Who innately is operating out of fear of working because they're working so hard for something that they've never had.
Yeah, right? or not wanting to go backwards.
Or not wanting to go backwards. I'm like,
I don't want to be broke again.
Yes.
Like, I know what it's like to be broke. Baby, I'm not trying to go back there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And she was like, that's working out of fear. I actually said that to her. I was like, Tina, I don't want to be broke again. So when you do see me working, I don't know if I started arguing with her a little bit. Like, I don't know if it's working out of fear because I have a family to take care of. I have responsibilities and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, get out of here with all that. Mm-hmm. She was like, you're not God.
Yep. And that's who we say that we believe in. Yeah. Right? And he has everything. So listen, we can stop the podcast and you spoken a word for me. But like, even with that, like, where do you get encouragement from? Like, where do you get the encouragement to keep going and pushing down and breaking down the barriers?
I'm a church boy. I'm from the South, and I have to go to church. I'm going to be honest with you. I have to. Everybody else say they don't. Some people say they do. Some people say they don't. I got to go to somebody's church to get something. Like, there's some refueling. I'm going to get something while I'm in the room. I'm not looking for nobody's reputation. I'm not looking for nobody's goodness. I'm just looking for a word, a message, some joy, something I can get that I can refuel myself for the week, because we need it from week to week. And when I can't make it to church and I'm on the road and on the go, if we can't find a church or whatever in the local area, we turn on the television, which is really good now because we can watch it on TV. And music is therapy to me. Worship is therapy to me. I'll turn it on even when I'm feeling like crap.
Yes.
And there are moments, I'll be honest, there are moments where, like, there are moods where, like, I want to listen to, like, all things Christian. And then there are some moods that, like, when somebody clap back at you or something and you want to clap back. Like, I'm not turning on a gospel song when it's time for me to clap back. When I really should be turning on a gospel song when it's time to clap back. And, you know, you want to turn on, like, a little Boosie. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So all those things, you know, they happen, and I find encouragement from everywhere. Like last night, I was in the house and I turned on Victoria Monet, and oh my mama, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it just gets you extremely excited and gets me hype in moments. Worship is the one thing that is going to help you mentally in that moment, but then it's also when praise go up, you know what I mean, blessings come down. So it's like you're getting a dual action there. Like God is doing something twice for you. And when I listen to like secular music, it only does one thing for me. It just gets me turned up, right? Like there's nothing that's fulfilling about it. But worship, it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Wow, I just had a whole little moment myself right now. And what is the difference? I've always asked myself, like, what's the difference for me? Like, listening to secular music and like all other kind of music. Well, I think the thing for me is knowing that I get two things when I listen to worship music. One is I get blessings because I'm praising, and then it changes my perspective as well.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Okay, so we came here to talk about how we snatch a waist, right?
Oh my God, yes.
But we had to get a good backstory in, and I'm just so I'm so encouraged by your story. I'm so encouraged by it. Before the listeners conclude this episode, I want you to share with them 3 things that we need as women to get our waist snatched.
Yes, indeed.
And three things that we need to walk in our confidence of whatever it is that we have on.
I love that. Wow, 3 things that you need in order to walk in the world confidently. Number 1 is having a snatch waist. Everybody in the world wants a snatch waist, or an illusion, right?
Yes.
Of a snatch waist. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. There was a moment. I'm gonna share a quick story with you. There was a moment that I put a client in 3 girdles and 2 rounds of duct tape.
What?
Almost took their life away.
What?
And I was like, I'll never do it again. I promise you. I'm so sorry. She was in it with me at the time. I was like, we're finna snatch you all the way up. This dress right here is so bad. We're finna snatch you up. She went on stage and came back, and she almost died when she got back in the room. She was like, I'm like, are you okay? She's like, no, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And I wasn't okay either. So we both freaked out in that moment. I was thinking, okay, so we can never do that again. So you got to find other remedies that will help give a lady a silhouette or things that accentuate the body.
Yeah.
And so one thing is that there is a designer that I absolutely love, and you may see like your Oprah's snatched up. You know, you see them and there's like no seams nowhere, and you be like, where the ridges at? Like where the boning at? I don't see anything at all. And you see your Patti LaBelle's and all these legendary women, and her name is Angela Deans.
Yes,
you know about Angela
Deans.
Come on.
Yes.
So Angela Deans is who I like literally, and I tell her this. I speak her name in every room that I go in, because the product that she has is life changing. And I hope that you ladies out there are taking notes right now, or go and press a replay on this, because Angela Deans is not only necessarily just a legendary woman, but she's the woman that really studies the body. And studying that body and hearing what a woman's needs are. Because y'all know, like, all right, ladies, hear me out. like when you put on like an undergarment or like a bra, it'll create like a little bit of a budge up under like the back, and it creates like a little bit of a unflattering back section for you. Or like you'll sit down and you have this really nice high waist pencil skirt, and it gets down to the knee area, then you see that little ridge come across. Yeah. She studied all that, and she doesn't have it anywhere. Like literally, she has different kinds, but one literally like covers
goes under your arm.
Girl, goes up under your arm and like covers everything up and like just firms everything up. She's for men and for women. And I'm telling you, I feel like it's magic. I'm like, girl, this is like a blessing from heaven. And I love that she really listens to the body as far as a pear shape, apple shape, rectangle shape. Like she literally makes them for the shape versus just like making one universal piece and just saying that every woman body must fit in this and it must work. The rest of them I like to call smoothers. Those are just smoothers. There are days you just want to be smooth and you don't want everything, going everywhere, ladies. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think having that is a necessity, right? So just having the proper undergarment. And I also think that having a snatch waist is also finding things that work for your body. Yeah. Like the kind of clothing that works for your body. So if you're more top heavy, you know what I mean? It's probably going to be a little unflattering to put on an A-line skirt that's high waist, because then it's going to create a bulge underneath, and it's not going to give that elongation to the body that you would really want. So in that situation, what you would want to do is get a shirt, get you a white fresh button down, close your eyes and dream with me really fast. Okay. So imagine you have this wavy hair, side part, and you have on a white, crisp button down that lasts you for years to come, right? Because it lasts forever. That's a timeless piece. And then you have on this high-waist pencil skirt. And you're like, okay, Jay Bolin, I cannot do anything that's high-waist and flat in the front. Yes, you can. If you get that Angela Dean's design undergarment, you'll be able to wear that, right? It'll be nice and smooth for you. But what it does is that it's universal across the board. It makes every woman elongated. Okay, get you a nice little high split, whether it's in the front of the skirt or the back of the skirt. Those are timeless pieces that you can always layer up. Put you a funky blazer on, a denim jacket on. Imagine putting like a oversized wool jacket off the back of your shoulders, walking in with a fabulous clutch and your big shades on and a popping lip. Yes. Like these are those moments, right, that you just created just off of a basic piece, off of a button down. Yeah. And you may say, well, where do I get a button down like this from? Like I've gone everywhere. But like places like your Targets or places like your Walmarts, anywhere you go that you can find something that feels a little affordable for you, right? Find pieces that are affordable for you. I've gone into some places and I've put some billionaire clients in pieces that come from your most affordable places, right? Yeah. And my practice is I make sure that I don't show them the tags. Yep. And I just put it on them. And then they come back with all the compliments, and everybody wanted to know, where did I get this white button down from? I'm like, you don't want to know. I'm going to tell you that it costs $13.99 at its highest price. That's not on sale. That $13.99 is the highest that it gets. And knowing that you can go and find affordable pieces. So finding things that work for the body, finding the right undergarments, and then also finding the most affordable pieces that work for you and your bank account. Yeah. I don't believe in breaking the bank. Yeah. I love that. I've done it. You know what I mean? I've done it before. So I'm telling you, you have a witness right here that says, save your money. Yeah. Find affordable pieces that work for you from day to day and continue to layer up and mix prints and have fun with it. That works. You had another question. What's your second question, girl?
Yes, I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm about to go to Walmart. I'm about to. No, and my last question for you is three pieces of advice, three easy pieces of advice for a woman to walk confidently into spaces and places and innately know who she is and stand it out. What does she need?
She needs Jesus. That's one.
Yes,
let's go ahead and get that out the way really fast. Number two, I would say the authenticity, making sure that when you walk into the room, like I said earlier, that you're not going to slay someone else's head off. You're not going in to feel like you're going to be the best in the room. But if you could just be your best self, if you can just show up as your best self and showing up as a whole person, it makes no one else have to show up for you. So if you can show up as your whole self when you walk in a room, then people will draw to you pretty naturally. the jobs, the gigs, the opportunities, all that stuff will just happen pretty organic.
Yeah.
The next thing I would say is, okay, when you wake up in the morning time, y'all know what it's like when you go to the bathroom, and it's the most vulnerable time of the day. You go in, your hair is jacked, your face is jacked up.
Yeah.
Because we all didn't wake up like this, right?
At all.
So
Beyonce lying.
I know, right? So you go into the bathroom. Oh, Beyonce's the only one that wakes up looking like
Right.
that.
Seriously.
So you go into the bathroom and you see yourself in the mirror, and it's the one place that you look at yourself and you either say, I look really good, I feel really good, or it's the one place that you say, I hate myself. And now, how did I let myself get here? My age has caught up with me. My weight has caught up with me. My weight has gone past me. Sometimes it's like sometimes your weight has gone past me. Is when I look in the mirror and say, like, Lord, slow it down.
Yeah.
And so that vulnerable time is a time that you have to really remember and remind yourself of what God says about you. Like literally going and finding scriptures of all the things that God says about you, not what social media says, not what your friends says, not what nobody spoken to you, not your book of affirmations. I'm talking about go and find some scriptures of what God said, literally. Yeah. What he said about you will last.
Yeah.
That will last with you throughout your day, whether you're feeling bad, because let's be real. Life hits you, circumstances hit you, and no matter how beautiful you are, when those things happen, you sometimes can't see past those circumstances when you look in the mirror. And so it starts in the mirror.
Yeah.
It starts in the mirror at home is what I want to say. So starting in the mirror at home and making sure that you are filling yourself up with what God says about you. I think if you do that, you'll walk out and you can go out and be the best person that God has called you to be.
Listen, that is an amazing way to end today's episode. Thank you so much, Jay Bolin.
Oh my God! Thank you so much. This is incredible. I feel like I've gotten a healing in here. While I'm telling other ladies,
that was so powerful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being open and honest with our audience. Listen, make sure y'all double tap. Go follow Jay Bolin on Instagram. Make sure you guys share this episode with a woman who needs to hear it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
As always, thank you for listening to this episode of The Audacity of Ambitious Women. If you like what you heard, and I'm sure you did, please let us know. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and drop us in the group chat to spread the word. It's time to be audacious.